We're almost there. We've come a long way. We have a few more things to do before we start carving on this large horse. So let's get started. Good morning, welcome back here to the shop. We've got a little bit more work to do on our large horse before we can think about taking it outside and start carving on it. One of the areas I want to work on is gluing our head that we carved down to the top body block. Once that's done and dried, then we can take our neck muscles that we cut out last week. We can take those and start applying those to the side of the neck and build that out. Once that's all done and the clamps are removed, then we can take that top half and we'll glue it to the lower half. Now I'd love to tell you all that we're going to start carving on our horse at that point. I just don't think we're going to have enough time in this episode, so you're going to have to come back to the next episode and start watching me carve on that body. It's going to be a lot of fun. But before we even get there, we need to finish milling our top body blocks. So let's get started there. Now that I have my top body block all planed, it's time to cut it to width, and I'll do that over on the table saw. Now that we have our top body block milled and ready to go, we've finished it at 1 3/4 inches thick by 9 3/4 inches wide. We're ready to mount the head to this top body block. To do this, it's simply again glue and 3/8 dowel rods. So we'll go ahead, we'll put the head in the clamps, we'll drill out for our dowel rods, and we'll get this glued down. There you go. That's how you mount the head to the top of our body block. Now I'll let this dry for a few hours and then I'll come back and I'll start gluing our neck muscles that we cut out last week. We'll start getting those glued on to either side of the head. That's going to build out that neck just enough that when we go to carve it, it's going to give us a really nice shape. So we'll set this aside to dry. We've still got our bodies that are still in clamps, so I'm going to throw those up on the bench now, take the clamps off of that, and we'll get set up. I'll start making the hoof extensions next. Now that I have the body up here on the bench, I'm going to go ahead and make hoof extensions. Now, traditionally, the hooves on these horses would be flat, but I like to give them a little bit of a shape. So I went over to my scrap bin and I pulled out a piece that probably isn't much good for anything else but hoof material, and I planed it down to 5/8 of an inch thick. I grabbed my leg patterns again, and I have them marked how wide or how big I want these hoof extensions. So I'll go ahead, I'll get these marked out on my blank here and head back over to the bandsaw once again, get these cut out, and I'll get these glued on. It's been a few hours now and our glue is pretty well set on our head, so I can go ahead and remove these clamps and then start getting our neck muscles glued onto the side of our head. But before I do that, I've got to head over to the joiner and get this edge all nice and flat. There you have it. We've got the first set of neck muscles glued onto our head. I'll let that sit for a few hours and let it dry. Then I'll come back, take the clamps off, and we'll put the second round of neck muscles on. I stayed a little bit late last night and was able to go ahead and glue on the last two neck muscles to our head. That way we can go ahead this morning, get our clamps taken off, and get it glued on to the lower half of our horse. Tomorrow here in Western Pennsylvania, we're supposed to have beautiful weather, so that means I can get outside, get set up, and we can start carving this horse. Well, there you go. Our horse is all clamped up and it's ready to carve. We'll let this sit overnight and let it dry. And then next week when we come in, we'll go ahead, we'll get everything set up outside and we'll start carving. You're not going to want to miss that. Hey, thanks a lot for watching, and if you've enjoyed this series so far, please give it a thumbs up and think about subscribing. And when you subscribe, hit the bell so that you're notified whenever I post a new video. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you here at the shop next week.